proud to be sponsored by Diamond Bright, the car care products that have been keeping the furious fleet looking their best for a long time already. To find all you need to keep your car clean and protected, follow the link below to diamondbright.co.uk. Hello, well, you join me sheltering under the boot of the Mercedes in the rain in a slightly unusual place for me, to be honest. I am here with a boot full of car parts and some tools and a bunch of keys to have a look at this Fiesta. Now, for once this isn't my car. There's a neighbour in the village who is learning to drive and has been looking for a car for ages and has been given this car, which has been sat since, well before lockdown, since January perhaps, at the very least. So it needs a bit of recommissioning for a fresh MOT, and she said, would I mind looking at it, see if we can get it through an MOT? And obviously I would be a horrible person if I said no. Sorry, they realise I'm a horrible person if I said no. So I said yes. So let's see, how bad can a Fiesta that's been sat for 3/4 of a year actually be? First of all, the button doesn't work. I'm familiar with buttons that don't work, but the lock does. Wow, it's muddy. Let's have a quick look around this thing before we get too close. First of all, okay, this thing needs a clean. It is dusty, it is muddy, it is mouldy. Yeah, it certainly wants a wash. It's actually not a bad interior. It's also cobwebby. Check that out. This car, as I say, hasn't moved since I think around either January or February. So, as it's now almost September, we're looking about 7-8 months maybe. This car hasn't seen anyone open the door. There is plenty of stuff growing in it and on it. And the hedge is reclaiming it. Look, even a little snack of blackberries while I'm working on it. Ugh, this is going to be fun. Apparently it was bought for a 17-year-old girl to learn to drive in. There was some good learning went on there. And I did notice as I got out of the car, there was also some pretty intensive learning went on just there as well. Right, so first things first, let's get under the bonnet. Apparently it was bought for a 17-year-old girl to learn to drive in. There was some good learning went on there. And I did notice as I got out of the car, there was also some pretty intensive learning went on just there as well. She was trying to sell it, but no one wanted a car that had been abandoned for quite some time and then driven into stuff. Right, so first things first, let's get under the bonnet and see what we can do. I'm going to assume, that the battery is beyond dead. I'm going to assume, hang on, that the battery is beyond dead here. Yeah, there's not even a light on the dashboard, so I'm going to pull this out of the bramble hedge. Now, I hadn't seen the car, but I did know it had been sat for a long time, and I was told the battery was stone dead, and I did have the number plate, so I did go and get all the things I would need: filters, plugs, battery oil, for a full service on the thing. It just occurred to me, this is actually uphill. Oh god, and the ground is quite slippery. I wish I brought a friend to do the video camera work. Oh my god, I can't get uphill far enough to get this damn thing out of the brambles. Right, so eventually managed to haul it out far enough to see how utterly disgusting it is. Wow, this definitely needs the attention of a jet wash. That is returning to nature. Right, let's see if we can get into this engine. Ow! Damn it. Ow, it's got a handful of brambles that really hurt. So the brambles are actually invading this car quite impressively. They're absolutely everywhere. Right onto the bonnet. So first thing we'll do, change this battery. And first of all, let's make sure there's oil in this thing. Oops, there's a dreg of very, very black oil there. This doesn't look like a car that's been particularly loved. Hang on, oh, I just found some more learning. More intense learning went on just there. Yeah, no wonder they were giving it away. So I think the tail end of the story was that the family who owned the car did leave the country. The daughter was trying to sell it, but no one wanted to give money for a dead, unserviced, damaged Fiesta. So here it is, free Fiesta. you'll notice the camera angles has changed because it's absolutely tipping with rain now. I'm looking at there's actually stuff growing in the scuttle of this car. So it appears the captive nut is no longer captive. Oh, it's all completely furred up on the connectors as well. Not a good look. Okay, that's now disconnected. That's rotated. Brute force and ignorance for the win. Right, little cappy things off. Positivey thing. And tightening uppy thing. Oh, sparky. Shows the battery's good. Well, it's good, it's brand new. Positive and negative going the right way around. Always worth double checking that. Great, so we have got a connected battery, so hopefully we've got power in this car now. Right, let's go and try and start the thing up. See if I can move it away from these brambles a bit more. Right, let's have a look. Oh wow, this is good. Oh wow, someone who drove this last was very short. I'm not worried about COVID because no one's been in this car for months. Okay, so we've got stuff on the dashboard now. Shows been alive for 2 minutes. Does the car turn over? Wow, ha, straight into life. Well, I think I've just discovered why people like old Fords. Check that, not moved in literally months, hardly any oil in it, still fires up first go. Right, let's do this. Right, next up, let's play find the spark plugs. They must be in here somewhere. I've never worked in a Duratec, so I'm assuming everything's under this plastic cover. I'm glad I brought a screwdriver. I wish I brought a different screwdriver. Okay, spark plugs. Here they are. I'm sure it's normal to have oil in there. That's probably a bad thing. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's nothing to worry about. Well, I just took this plug out off camera because it's not very exciting. It was absolutely soaked in oil. The entire thread was black. Well, this is the second spark plug. Let's see what's... Oh, that's literally dripping oil. I think this has got a head gasket gone. That's probably fatal on this car. One more note for the hilarity here. The bonnet doesn't shut. Literally can't be closed. Well, I'm back with the Fiesta and it's not raining anymore, but I did take one rather foolish security precaution of shoving the front of the car back in the bramble bush so it wouldn't be, I don't know, picked like a blackberry. But of course there's no battery in it. I did take it home again because the bonnet isn't latching shut and it's uphill, so I can't get the thing uphill again. What a fool. Heavier than it looks. Right, now I'm no longer in what felt like a vertical river at the time, and I've had a chance to do a little bit of Googling. I now know that this isn't such a serious problem as I thought it was going to have. Now, I'm used to Rovers. I've done a lot of Rovers over the years, and so when I see oil with black currant on the headlight, oil all over spark plugs, I generally think the worst. Turns out it's just a rocker cover gasket, which is a really cheap part, not a major issue, but not one I'm also going to bother dealing with right now because it won't fail the MOT, and I don't want to do it here in the car park. So what I will do is get some brake cleaner and some rags and clean it all up in there, and that way it's going to be nice and pleasant, well, pleasanter, and the car will run. Spark plugs are still in those holes right now, so I'm not squirting brake cleaner into the engine. Don't panic. Oh, how I wish I brought pliers. Oh, Chuckademus. Oh my God, look at that. That is the worst spark plug I think I've ever seen. Man, that's gross. The engine wasn't even running. I'm really hoping that this is, as the internet has diagnosed, just the really minor problem of the rocker cover gasket, and it's really nothing to worry about. I guess we'll find out fairly shortly. What's the phrase I'm looking for here? I got a bad feeling about this. How oily will number 2 be? We wonder. Oh my God, even worse than number 1. That is just horrifically bad. Oh my word, I can actually see a puddle of oil on number 3. Oh man. You know, no wonder the spark plugs are just coated in oil if the rocker is just dumping all of its oil straight onto the little places where the spark plugs sit. Oh, I can't get it out now. Yeah, not good. I wonder how long this has been allowed to go on for, because it shouldn't be this bad just from leaking a little bit for a short time. This is really bad. It's definitely wants the rocker cover coming off and all this cleaning out properly. Oh my word. I wonder if this is massive or has been massively over full of oil, because there shouldn't be this much oil in the head in the first place. Squirt a brake cleaner up on the HT leads to try and get oil and rust and all the other gunk out of there as well. Oh dear me. This poor car. And number 4, is this going to be the worst? Or is it going to be dry? Oh no, it's covered in oil. Right, that's all 4 spark plugs and the battery is now back in the car. Let's see if this thing does still actually start. Oh, hang on. I accidentally stopped the camera and it was coughing and making some horrible noises. Let's see if we give it another go. Oh, it's alive again. God, these old Duratec's are decent motors, aren't they? Oh, it's chucking a bit of grey smoke out the back, but it's all gone now. Didn't plaster my car with utter gunk. Yeah, I'm aware of how dirty those front wheels of my car are, and also aware of the irony that I'm sponsored by Diamond Bright. So yeah, I will go and clean that later as well. Well, while that warms up, let's figure out how to get in the airbox. Change this filter. It's got star things to do the air filter. Ah, this bloody bramble keeps getting me in the face. I've not got any sharp to cut it with. Gardening with, ouch. Mole grips, it's the future, I tell you. Ow! Ah! Damn things. Gardening with mole grips is not the future. Well, obviously I've come out without exactly the right size of a socket. Should put it an 8 or a 9mm, and I've only got a 10 or I think it's a 6. But this looks like the biggest pain in the bum in the history of car engineering. There are 10 individual bolts, it looks like, that I've got to undo to get the air filter out. Why would you do that on a service item? For reference, the tool I'm using is a tiny socket adaptery thing clamped in the jaws of a small set of mole grips. We do what we have to. Well, this is, yeah, pretty grim. That's not been serviced in quite a while. Oh, fresh and new, shiny. Actually doesn't smell that nice. Don't do that, it's a silly thing to do. Just fallen out, but there's even a dead blue bottle in this one. Well, that took far longer than it needed to. No, seriously, why can't it just be like 2 tiny little snap clips like on most cars? So, do you remember how the other day I found so much more love and respect for the W123 when I found you could reach the drain plug from just under the bumper? I'm losing respect for the Fiesta because I think this is it just here, behind the engine, obviously. I think I can just about get, here we go, just reach a 13mm under there. Trying to work out which way it turns. Hang on, lefty-loosey, typey-righty. Right, so someone has absolutely mullered that, what do you call it, drain plug into the back of the engine. I cannot undo it for love nor money. But what we will do is pull off this ancient looking filter, because this looks like it went down with the Titanic, and drain some oil out this way, because this is very black and horrible. At least I can put a new filter on it and get a bit more oil in there that's looking less disgusting. It's not ideal, but it's kind of a better than nothing kind of situation. And the reason I'm doing this, which may seem completely pointless as there's still the original oil in this engine, is because this oil and filter just looks so old and horrible. I'd rather run, well, I'd rather have some filtering properties going on at all rather than none. It can't hurt, can it? So how much oil is actually in this? Not that much actually, it's below minimum. But without a ramp and some more tools, I can't get the old sump plug out, so I'm going to have to put a bit of better oil in there. At least it's got a clean filter, so it'll be filtering some of the crud out of it, and we'll do another oil and filter change at the earliest opportunity. Can I do this one-handed? Well, you know, no funneled. Yes, get in there. let's give that a minute to see how that's levelled up. Now while that settles, let's have a look at the final problem, which is going to stop this car getting an MOT, and this might mean dumping another job on the garage, but this won't do up. Yeah, the problem seems to be the bonnet won't latch down. Oh, so many blackberries. So this is going down. That latches. What needs adjusting? Does this need to adjust up? Can it adjust up even? Right, let's see if I can move this forward just a smidge. Maybe that's the key. Nearly. I can see its bonnet's a bit bent actually. I wonder if that's why it's not going down. I think this is a job for someone with far more patience than me. I'm going to get rid of all this, lots of sharp stuff that's filling this scuttle. Ah, stuck to me again. Oh, I didn't do the wiper blades. The wiper blades might be okay. The problem with all this stuff is it's not just dirty and horrible and blocking all the drain holes, it's really sharp. I can't actually touch it. Yeah. Gardening gloves to fix a Fiesta. Brilliant. Coolant's a bit low, I better top that up as well when I come back. Power steering fluid, a bit murky, but it'll be okay for a bit. Brake fluid, how's that looking? Actually really clear. That's a recent brake fluid. So clear I thought there was none in it. Maybe someone's put water in there. Right, so MOT pre-flighting this thing. It has got battery secured, bonnet that won't secure, but I'm gonna have to ask the garage nicely to fix that. Let's make sure everything else works before we carry on. Right, the next time we see this car, it'll be driving off to an MOT, which I just booked, amazingly, within a week, considering all the extra MOTs that seem to be going on at the moment because of all the MOT extensions that went on during lockdown. Right, so let's have a quick double check of what we know, or checklist. First of all, it starts, that's good. Let's put some lights on, see if they work, and some hazard lights. We've got fog lights in this car, it must have. Oh, AC that doesn't work, but that's not a thing to worry. Hang on. Oh, AC that might work actually. Let's turn that down and see what happens. Fog lights. Oh, we seem to have a number of lights working on the back. Lights working there. Lights working there. Dip beams, hazards, fogs. Let's try for main beams. Yeah, it looks like it's even got main beams. The aircon doesn't exactly blow ice cold. That needs regassing, if anything. It definitely wants some fuel in it, because I don't know if there's even enough to make it the mile or two to the MOT station. Look at those cobwebs there. That is a car that's not lived in a while. Something I did just notice was the state of these brakes, because they have not driven in a while. If there's anything to worry about, it's going to be them. But if I give this a bit of an Italian tune-up on the way and give the brakes a bit of a welly to try and bed them back in again. Have we got a spare wheel in here? Wow. It's a pretty decent tyre actually, isn't it? What's that, 14-inch Eco Contact? 1756514. Do you know what, I think that would actually fit the Mercedes. I wonder if she'd notice if I borrowed this. Shh, don't say a word. And yuck, but they look kind of okay. Let's just check the washers. I wonder if these cars have got a triangle of doom on them. Oh, check this thing out. As free cars go, apart from that bonnet not latching down shut, that's only not wiping probably because there's some straw stuck in it. Oh, this car's decent, isn't it? Well, I can't shut the bonnet, so I've parked it in the security hedge, so now I'm going to nick the battery. But in a day or so's time, this will be gone from here, and the neighbours are glad to see the back of it, I'm sure, because it won't live here any longer. Right, I'm going to go home, get cleaned up, and explain to the unfortunate owner that I couldn't do everything. So today is the day, MOT test, D-Day. Some fresh petrol in this thing, see if it will make the gauge move. For some reason I had a weird feeling that rear door didn't shut properly, but I don't know why I thought that. I think the central locking wasn't working before. Oh, please start. Okay. Problemo. Why are you starting? Why have you been fine until now and now you won't start? Okay, right. This fills me with confidence. Yeah. Okay, now I have all of the confidences in this car. Seeing as out, it's been absolutely fine up until now. Now I'm driving it for an MOT. Oh, free of the goods we brush it last. Fake bramble. Right, so windscreen wipers. Okay, so the way it works in the UK, if you're not familiar with UK law, you can drive a car that has no MOT as long as it's insured and you're driving to an MOT, and this car is now insured. At least I hope it is. And we're driving to an MOT. These brake discs are furred up like crazy. Otherwise it might not have enough stopping power. I would like to get it warm enough to blow out the cobwebs a bit. I did just put an entire gallon of petrol in this car and the amber light is still on the fuel gauge, so either it was so empty it probably almost wouldn't start before, or it has got a broken fuel gauge. Maybe that was why it didn't start a second ago. Maybe the fuel tank had been about to run completely dry. Give it a loop around the roundabout, get some warmth in the tyres. The tyres might be a little low. Actually, corners quite well. Not a bad little car, to be honest. I should probably do a review on this once it's well, assuming it passes its MOT. Does an abundance of fruit on the bonnet count as a bribe as far as the MOT tester is concerned? Because there's about a punnet's worth of blackberries on the bonnet at the moment. I'm sure they might get packaged during the test and want a little snack. That can't be construed as trying to bribe, can it? There's this little slick gearbox. This car's got 126,000 miles on it. Apart from being an absolute state, it drives brilliantly. Now the fuel gauge has finally moved up to one little segment on the slot on the bottom of the gauge. I do love pulling a car out of a hole and making it run again. There's something really cool about that whole making it live once more kind of vibe. A car that's been abandoned and forgotten, covered in crud, and you can sort of turn it to something nice and shiny and usable again. Well, it's back and it failed, which wasn't a massive surprise to be perfectly honest. I knew it was going to fail because of the non-latching bonnet. So that was always going to be a fail, but the garage can fix that later. That was always in the offing. It didn't fail on the horrific smell inside either, which I did worry about as well. What it did fail on though was two surprises. First of all, the brakes, but not how I expected it to. The MOT tester could see that it had been parked for a long time. I did tell them as well. So the brake discs are fairly furred up, but they had enough stopping power to get through the tests. So it got an advisory on that, not a fail, which is good. But after the actual stopping test, the brake pad broke loose from the backing material. So that was an instant fail because that's defective and dangerous. So that's one thing. The second thing is on the other side in the corner, I didn't notice it. I don't know how I didn't notice it. Maybe it's because it was too raining and too brambly. But there's a hole about the size of a 10p piece, which they have now prodded through on the rear sill. So I need to get the melty wire out and some brake pads and get this back there by lunchtime for a retest. Okay, so I'm entirely responsible for this and I made a bit of a boo-boo. I was shooting some stuff in slow motion for an unrelated project and then forgot to put the camera back in regular speed, so there's no sound for the next bit. Okay, so first of all, let's tackle the rust. It's only a small hole the size of a 10p as always. So let's hit that with the wire brush on the grinder and see exactly how big a 10p sized hole it is. Well, obviously it's much bigger than 10p. It's massive. It's a good 20 pounds worth of tenors there. So we'll do the usual bits, cardboard template onto a bit of steel, and it's actually a surprisingly complicated curve of metal here. It changes its radius a few times actually. So the important thing is to try and get exactly the right shape before you start, and the whole thing will go on far easier. And annoyingly, a lot of the welds I'm managing to lay down here are far nicer than anything I put on the Alfa Romeo, which is ironic and annoying. Anyway, just as I was really getting to the swing of it, the welder stopped and I was about to start cursing this terrible old machine. Then I realised I'd run out of wire. So a quick blast down to the local DIY shop, came back with some more wire, finished tacking it on. A quick splash of Hammerite inside and out, and a quick blast with some under seal to protect it from the elements, and we're good to go. Now we're waiting for the brake pads to be delivered. It's only 25 quid for a set of brake pads. We can quickly jack up and remove the old pads. There was an advisory on the test for brake disc worn, pitted, scored, but not seriously weakened, because you could see exactly what had happened. There were discs that have been sat rusting for the last few months, but the short drive to the MOT testing station hadn't cleaned all the rust off, but it clearly will over the next few miles. However, one of the pads had literally sheared in half. The pad had come loose and come away from the backing material, so that's not safe at all. Now, someone commented the other day that I do seem to do batches of similar jobs on cars, one after another, and it's not intentional, it's just as they come up. I know I did a broken brake pad on the Mini just a few weeks ago, and here I am again doing another one here on this Fiesta. It's not intentional, it's just the way it goes. And fortunately, doing brake pads is a fast and easy job. Okay, so I just realised I had the camera set to slow motion for the entire morning, so everything I've done so far today you'll have been listening to with me overdubbing everything that I said this morning. Not annoying at all. Let's give those a little clean up in a second. But yeah, these pads have got much more meat on them than before, and more importantly, are in one piece. Oh, there's a squished dead bee in there. Ooh. Ow. So if there is some kind of knack to doing these, I've never figured it out. Ugh. Well, that was fun. The knack, it would appear, is mole grips and force. And always, after you've done the wheels with your ratchet thing, which I know I shouldn't be using a chrome thing on, that's bad, always do and recheck it by hand, just because they don't always click up as tight as they should do, for your own safety. Something I learned on the first one is you do up the bottom, yeah, oh, dead spiders, you do up the bottom one of these things first. And then it's all a whole bunch easier. Well, good news. I am now driving along in a road legal, taxed, insured and MOT'd Fiesta with only two advisories. One is for the cruddy brake discs, which we'll clean up as we use them. The other one is for a slightly mucky looking rear brake line, which I forgot to take that rear wheel off. I'll look at that next time I do anything to the car. But this is great. This is a free car, which has so far cost £105 in service items, £25 for brake pads, so that's £130. I think the MOT was like £40 or £50, so we'll call it 40 on the safe side, and a tenner for petrol, so 180 quid. And this is what this car cost from Hedgerow to the road in a few days. What a great transformation. Let's park up and have a quick look at the car and see what this little freebie nugget actually is. And while I'm driving that little lay-by, I will just say, what a great car. It's got air conditioning, which I think needs regassing. It's got heated windscreen, what a bonus, as well as obviously heated rear screen. Someone's put a Bluetooth head unit in here, which is pretty cool, so if we can figure out how that works. And it's got USB input, phones can be synced. This is a great little car, it drives really nicely. So what do you guys reckon? For someone who's it's their first ever car, this is ideal. It's already had a few knocks and scrapes, so it doesn't matter if it takes the odd bump here and there, but it drives brilliantly. It's really economical. What a lovely little car. I even like the colour. Okay, it does need a couple more jobs. Bonnet does now latch shut. I was right, it was because the bonnet has had a bit of a nudge and so it's bent it slightly out of shape. Would you like a Fiesta washing video? Comment down below and I'll go and do that one at the weekend. See these blackberries finally leave the car. Should we make a crumble out of them? No, we won't do that. But here we have another car saved. It may not be the smartest one in the world, but it's a great little driver. Oh, it feels good to have a car that was dying in a hedge a few days ago, now back on the road again. If you like cars being rescued from the brink, please hit like, please hit subscribe, hit the bell notification button, and I'll see you again next time.